Yesterday was a day where gold prices were up $100, silver prices were up over $1, and so the average silver gold co was up 1, 2, maybe 3% for the good ones. We were up 8%, and it was because we put out these drill results. So drill results matter, and we've got 80 more holes to come. So we got drill results. Kerry, we've got $64 million in the bank, so there's no financing risk for the next 2 years.
The Financial Survival Network. Now more than ever. The Financial Survival Network.
Welcome. This is Financial Survival Network. I'm your host, Kerry Lutz, and joining me once again is my good friend, Shawn Kuhn, President, CEO of Dolly Varden Silver, for a major sponsor update. Shawn, you've had a phenomenal run this season. Over 56,000 meters drilled, and now one of the most exciting intercepts anywhere in the Golden Triangle this year, 14.7 meters of 26 grams of gold, including a section grading 433 grams over half a meter. That's bonanza by any standard. And what really stands out is that it's wide, not your typical narrow vein hit. So let's dig into what's happening at Homestake there. When those numbers came in, Shawn, 26 grams over nearly 15 meters, what was your first thought?
So I want to tell you a bit of a story. First of all, it's great seeing you. Thanks for having me on. So I was up at the project in the summer, and I was touring a group of investors from Texas, investors from Boston. And so what I thought would be appropriate, in addition to just taking them to Dolly Varden, I thought we should show them the different mines in the neighborhood, give them a regional setting. So there's a famous mine in the area called the Premier Mine. And the Premier Mine was the most profitable gold mine in North America when it was operating. And, I got the guys at Premier, they let us come, took us underground. They took us down to the 310 level where this stuff is running 10 ounces per ton. Okay, wow. 10 ounces per ton gold, like over 300 grams of gold. So I'm starting to make my way back from Premier, back to Vancouver, back to home. But my vice president of exploration is going back to Dolly, going back to site, which is, about 40 kilometers south of Premier. And he comes back and he goes, "Hey, do you want me to take your sample and cut it and polish it and make it nice?" I said, "Yeah." So he takes the sample back, and as he's doing that, we're pulling core up from Homestake. So he calls me up and he sends me a picture actually, and he calls me and he goes, "Look at this. It looks identical. It looks our Homestake, which is just south of Premier." He goes, "This looks like it came out of the 310 level at Premier." And I go, "Well, Rob, that's a big statement. Like, that stuff's running 300 grams per ton." So, we get the assays late last week. The news release came out Monday morning. We got the assays late last week, and he goes, 433 grams per ton. That's what that core that he showed and that was comparing to this. And so, there was concentrations in this intercept that does span 15 meters that were running as much as 433 grams of gold. And so look, Kerry, Dolly, you and I have been talking for what feels like 5 or 6 years now about Dolly Varden. And every year we're pulling numbers like this. And not every year, every month. Like if you go back to if you took the numbers here, 14 meters, multiply that by 26 grams, right? You get a number of like something better than 350 gram meters. But if you go back to October, we put out a hole that was 120 meters of over 3 grams. That's also like a 350 gram meter hole. And then if you go to September, we had a silver number. Okay, the silver number was 1,400 grams of silver over 21 meters. In the silver numbers, that's like 29,000 gram meters of silver. Divide that by 80, divide that by 80 for the silver to gold ratio. And again, you get about a 350 gram meter gold equivalent. So the 3 holes that we put out, September, October, November, are these in a gold equivalent. So it's like I was saying before we hit record, I'm grateful. Like I'm blessed to have this great project and these great scientists that know how to fingerprint, right? This is about fingerprinting areas of the property where we're seeing these rich numbers and going, where else could we get this? And they're looking at, some things like, potassic alteration, sodium depletion. They're looking at structure. They're looking at geochemistry, magnetics. They're triangulating all of this, and it's translating into these rich numbers.
It's kind of like the same story every time I talk to you. Bigger and bigger finds, bonanza grades. How much of this is due to just great science? How much of it is due to the directional drilling capability that you've developed?
Yeah, listen, I think that the first thing is just great geological setting. If you go back, the minerals that were deposited here, it was an 8 million year process, the Eskay Rift, and it endowed Eskay Creek, Bruce Jack, Premier, and our property. And what the directional drilling has allowed us to do, and not a lot of, it's used a lot in oil and gas, able to kind of horizontally drill, position, pinpoint where you want to go. What we were finding is we were getting frustrated a few seasons ago because we're having to drill these long, expensive holes, and they would deviate. We wouldn't hit the target. And so it was our exploration manager, Amanda Bennett, who said, why don't we use directional drilling? And, I challenged her because I said, isn't that expensive? Because it's incrementally more meters. But she said, Shawn, she goes, look, if we're like, I'll give you a number here. We talk about drilling 56,000 meters because we drilled an equivalent of 56,000 meters, but we actually only had to drill 42,000 of those meters because we're saving. So we're drilling a mother hole, and then we're fanning out the daughter holes. The first bit we don't have to drill. So it's been a game changer. It's good rocks. It's good science. It's good techniques, and it's trying to improve. But again, at the end of the day, it's in a well-endowed property, and we got a lot of ground now. Kerry, we were very active this year doing acquisitions, so we've got a lot of ground to explore.
Yeah, and the significance and the strategy of acquiring Homestake from Fury has just been a nonstop performer here.
It really has. And again, if we go back to the history of Dolly Varden, we started as an idea, a multi-million-dollar idea on the back of some old historic silver mines. And I took that idea, I marketed it, I raised some money. I got lucky that silver took a run from about 15 to 30 when I first got started. So I filled the treasury. We put $27 million away that summer, and we did it at good prices. And then we turned around, we didn't spend it. So we had the money to buy Homestake. And we did it with some shares, but we also did it with some cash. And it's worked out really well for both parties. Fury's been able to focus and advance the projects that they're looking to focus in the North and Eastern Canada. And Dolly Varden's been able to establish a district, right? And, have the economies of scale of both the Homestake asset and the Dolly Varden asset. But one thing I want to get across to your audience is, some people are like, okay, you've been drilling. We're going to drill for the next 5 more years. No, that's not the plan. The plan now is we are looking at creative ways to give our shareholders exposure to production. And so, one of the things that we've done, our business has been built on 3 pillars. Pillar number 1 was bringing $185 million of capital. Capital is the oxygen that these mining companies need to advance. We've done that in an elegant way. We've never done a down round. We've done that in a way that we've limited dilution, and we've got the money from great investors, Hecla, Eric Sprott, Fidelity, etc. So pillar one, bringing in capital. Pillar two, leveraging that science I talked about, the expansion, the extension, the great geology. I can transfer wealth. I can't create it. My scientists can create it through their discoveries, through increasing the mineral inventory. Well, now what, Kerry? The third pillar of the business is the acquisitions. We've made 5 acquisitions. Now, our focus up until this point has been acquiring prospective ground and acquiring past producing mines. We're up to 5 past producing historic silver mines in the Golden Triangle. The next step that I'm challenging myself to do is now it's time to focus on operations. How quickly can we get this material through a production facility? What production facility? Do we build one? Do we permit it ourselves? Do we build the tailings in the mill, or is there a better way? Is there a way to direct ship this high grade? Is there a way to cut capex, reduce permitting timelines? And is there other companies where there's synergies, where if we come together to create a larger entity, a go-to name in the mining space, can Dolly Varden become the next Hecla, the next Pan American? So, stay tuned. We've got some plans that are coming that we're looking to execute on shortly. We've got 80 drill holes to still report. And if they're anything like the ones we've already put out so far this year, yesterday was a day where gold prices were up $100, silver prices were up over $1. And so the average silver gold co was up 1, 2, maybe 3% for the good ones. We were up 8%. And it was because we put out these drill results. So drill results matter. And we've got 80 more holes to come. So we got drill results. Kerry, we've got $64 million in the bank. So there's no financing risk for the next 2 years. And again, we've had a history of being acquisitive with accretive acquisitions like Homestake. And so I'm really excited about organic growth, but I'm also excited about the potential to do something transformational.
Okay, well, I should mention I own shares in the company, have for quite a while, and for exactly these reasons. It's like a question of how big can this get? And going back to one thing you said, you never had a down round. And that is significant because right now we're in a bull market for metals. Everyone forgets the pain and suffering that went on over the past several years since prices spiked during COVID and then, somewhat floated down to earth. People just take it for granted, but the fact that you've never had a down round means that when you go to the market, you have tremendous credibility, both as an acquirer and when you need to raise capital. So really the optionality here is rather unique.
And I got to we've got a wonderful group of advisors, consultants, investment bankers. They have been the key to our success and to help me time markets and encourage me to play from a position of strength and to be surgical but aggressive. And so it takes a big team. And we've got a wonderful team here, both at the board level, but also it's all the advisors, the Haywoods, the Research Capitals, the Aventuses, the Raymond James of the world that get it out, put us in front of accounts, and bring us the capital that we need to execute our business plan.
Yeah, and it's remarkable, because I just remember 3-4 years ago and going to conferences like the ones we've been at recently, and the sentiment so different, and everybody forgets about what happened in the past. But the fact that you thrived during that time period and put you in so much better position now. So definitely going to be interesting. So 80 more holes. We're waiting for results. Is drill season complete now, or we still got a little more to go?
Drill season is complete. And I'm hoping that we're in a position by, just before or just after Christmas where we can put out all the results. And we're tirelessly working away. And we don't have the inputs yet, but we're planning on putting out a 43-101. This is a mineral resource estimate to update. And we haven't done one of these for a number of years. So we've done a lot of drilling. We've had a significant amount of success. It wouldn't surprise me to see the silver on the property grow by 50%, which is significant. And it wouldn't surprise me for us to convert a lot of our inferred ounces on the gold side. And, just for any of the viewers that, may not be as well versed as with these mining companies, there are different categories in an estimate. And the tighter space drilling you do, the more confidence you have around your estimates. And so what we've done is, particularly at Homestake, Kerry, is we've done some of that tighter space drilling. And what we found was we are actually pleasantly surprised that the grade is a lot richer. So I think there's a chance of like a 50% increase in the grade at Homestake from the inferred to what we convert into the indicated category. So I'm looking for a 50% increase in number of silver ounces. I'm looking for a 50% increase in grade on the gold side. And it's on the back of results like we just put out.
Remarkable. Incredible stuff here, Shawn. Every time you're on, the story is stronger, higher grade, bigger footprint, more gold. Congratulations on another major step forward for Dolly Varden. Again, folks, Dolly Varden Silver, and you find them at dollyvardensilver.com. Go there, sign up for notifications. You can get the latest drill results, ticker symbols in the US. On the American, it's DVS, and on the TSXV, it's DV. Shawn, we'll be talking to you soon and get some more updates. Looking forward to finding out what's in the remainder of those holes.
Thanks for having me on, Kerry.
The Financial Survival Network.